Haverhill Journal, where we give you a quick look at what's happening in our city with the most interesting stories from Broadway to Bradford. I'm Lindsay Paris, and coming up, we're taking a trip to Essex County's favorite fall tradition, the Topsfield Fair, and watching as Haverhill's new Vietnam Veterans Memorial is formally dedicated after 3 years of behind-the-scenes effort. But first, there are many beautiful pastoral spots in Haverhill, but one that holds a special place in both our hearts and our history is the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace on Whittier Road. A visit to the 69-acre former farm feels like stepping back in time into Whittier's writings, in which he often described this very home and landscape where he grew up. The Journal spent a late summer day at the birthplace, following in the historic footsteps of John G. Whittier. It's an historic farm with gently rolling hills, fields, and streams, a cultural landmark and a respite from the busy 21st century world. It's the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace, which is all of those things and more. John Greenleaf Whittier spent the first 30 years of his life here, off and on, and it was a source of major literary inspiration for him. Today, we're touring the house and grounds with Kaylee Perret-Shaughnessy, Executive Director of the Whittier Birthplace. So Kaylee, thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming, Lindsay.
Tell me a little bit about John Greenleaf Whittier. Who was he?
John Greenleaf Whittier was a poet and an abolitionist. He was born here in 1807 and lived here off and on until he sold the farm in 1836 and he moved to Amesbury. This house was originally built in 1688 by Thomas Whittier, John Greenleaf Whittier's great-grandfather. And then 4 generations of the Whittier family lived here on the farm. Each generation built an addition to the house, and as the family grew, the house grew.
So Kaylee, we've just stepped inside the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. This is actually my very first visit. I've never been inside before.
Welcome, Lindsay.
Why was it considered important to preserve this home as a museum?
Whittier today is not as well known within the world outside of Haverhill, but in his day he was very famous. So he was known as a fireside poet, meaning that he was popular with the common man, the type of poet that you might read as a farmer sitting around your own fireside at night. When Whittier died in 1892, this house that we are standing in was already out of the family. In 1893, the property was purchased by one of his Haverhill Academy classmates, Judge Carleton, and he donated the property and 68 of the original 150 acres to the Whittier Club. The Whittier Club set up a separate board of trustees, and we have been operating as a museum since October of 1893.
That's amazing. So was that 128 years as a museum?
Yes.
And has anything had any major modifications, or this is pretty much as it would have been in 1893?
Our mission is to preserve the property as best we can as it was when Whittier lived here. We're standing in the kitchen. Although this is not the original kitchen, as I mentioned outside, the house was built in 1688, and the original house had 4 rooms, 2 on the first floor and 2 on the second floor. And as the family grew, the house needed to grow too. They put on the addition of this kitchen in 1701.
So in this room you have a really large hearth here, and also you have a lot of space. So was this also a dining room for the family as well?
Yeah, I think every room was used for multiple uses. When you had 12 people living in a small house, you're gonna need a lot of multi-purpose spaces. Many of the rooms served as a daytime function as a parlor or a kitchen, and then a nighttime function as a bedroom. This is a hearth. It is one of the more famous hearths from literary history because this is the setting for Whittier's most famous poem, Snowbound.
Oh, wow.
Within the poem, the multi-generational family sits around the hearth sharing stories about other snowstorms and life growing up on a rural New England farm in the middle of a snowstorm. The family passes around a mug of cider, and we have the mug that's sitting in the shelf above the hearth right now. Everybody would just pass around the same mug that had been warmed next to the fire, so warm apple cider, that sounds good.
How great is that?
Telling stories is definitely a big part of the pre-technology life, but also reading was a big part of their lives, especially for John Greenleaf Whittier. When he was a boy, his teacher often read from Robert Burns, the Scottish poet, And Whittier fell in love so much with that he eventually was gifted the book of Robert Burns' poetry, which is on display in the parlor right now. Our next room is the parlor. You'll notice that this one is very bright. It has white walls. This room also served as a bedroom. The Murphy bed on the wall is the type of bed that the Whittiers would have had here. Theirs was mounted to the wall rather than standing, but they did have a Murphy-style bed, and this is the room where John Greenleaf Whittier was born. As the family was putting on many additions over the years, they went to add an addition on to this side of the house and found that there was a very large boulder in the ground, mostly buried, that they couldn't dig under or around. So they built the room up 2 steps and went on top of the boulder.
Okay,
instead.
that makes sense. That's why we have these 2 steps here.
We have 2 steps. The room above it as well also has 2 steps up.
Speaking of John Greenleaf Whittier, he has been watching us the whole time. He's right behind us.
Yes, this portrait was done when Whittier was 25 years old. The artist, Deacon Robert Peckham, asked to paint his portrait, and Whittier originally said no. It was considered immodest for a Quaker to have a portrait of themselves hanging in their house, but he also didn't have money to pay the painter.
Right.
The painter, though, was adamant and said, "You don't need to pay me to paint this." We own the original painting, although this is not the original. This is a copy. The original is on loan to the Smithsonian Museum.
Wow.
It hangs in the National Portrait Gallery.
So Kaylee, I understand that there are some spots on this farm that are actually featured in Whittier's poetry.
Yes. One of them is the Fernside Brook, just behind us here. Other parts are the dam, just a little bit farther up. It's one of the stops on the Freeman Trail. One of the more famous ones is probably the front doorstep, mentioned in Whittier's poem, The Barefoot Boy, who sits on the doorstone eating his bowl of bread and milk.
Being out here, it is so gorgeous. I seriously feel like I've been transported to the 19th century. So tell us about some of the activities that you offer for guests.
Sure, well, we offer tours of the house from April to October. They go through the end of October, and we also do some activities during the off-season. We sometimes have virtual lectures that are available on our website. We do snowshoeing activities where you can walk the Freeman Trail. Actually, you can walk the trail any time of year. And then we also do an annual event during Trails and Sales in September. We have an open house. So the Freeman Trail is about a half mile. It has 13 stops. It goes on a loop through the fields and forested areas around the birthplace. And each of the 13 stops has a piece of Whittier's poetry. And as you read it, you get to see what John Greenleaf Whittier was seeing when he wrote each of those poems. It was put together by Donald Freeman, who was a member of our board of trustees at the time. He was also a teacher at Haverhill High.
Kaylee, thank you so much for having us today. You guys are doing an amazing job of recreating this 19th century farmstead and just this pastoral location, which, you know, you can't find a lot of places like this anymore.
Well, thank you. We want to share this with the community. So even if we aren't open for tours or an event, the community is welcome during daylight hours to come and explore the property, explore the Freeman Trail or any of the other fields that we have.
There are several fun events coming up at the Whittier Birthplace, including their annual Kite Flying Day on Sunday, October 24th, where you can bring your own kite or just watch a breezy display by Kites Over New England. And also the Birthplace Virtual Lecture Series, with lectures scheduled for October 28th and November 18th. Pop Quiz. Which local event draws 40,000 people a day to admire, among other things, the biggest pumpkins you've ever seen? You guessed it, the Topsfield Fair, which has been delighting fairgoers since way back in 1818. This year, I decided to throw my hat into the ring, or my cake actually, for the Topsfield Fair Fall Harvest Baked Sweet Treat Challenge. So come along with me for the ride as the Journal goes full on for fall fair fun. After 203 years and millions of people passing through its gates, yes, I am talking about the Topsfield Fair. I am here in 2021 after the fair took a hiatus last year for the first time since 1944, and I am here to celebrate what's wonderful about Topsfield Fair, right? There's giant pumpkins, there's baby chicks, there's baking displays, there's live music, there's all the fried food you can eat. What more can a New Englander ask for? So David, here we are at the Topsfield Fair, opening day.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the history of one of America's oldest fairs.
Yes, we are America's oldest fair. It started in 1818, and this marks our 203rd year of the Topsfield Fair. And what we really pride ourselves on here is that it's a mixture of the traditional things that people love to come back and see and do year after year, as well as mixing in new things. People come back for lots of different reasons, whether it's to go to the flower building, the poultry building, see the cattle, see the horses. The giant pumpkin contest has become a huge thing, and people want to come and have their picture taken in front of the giant pumpkin. So as you know, we didn't have a fair last year. We weren't allowed to have a fair because of the pandemic. So I think there's a lot of pent-up demand. I think we're going to have a lot of people coming to enjoy the fair.
How many people do you get each year here at the fair?
We range anywhere between 400,000 and 500,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big fair. There's about 700 volunteers that work at this fair, volunteer at this fair every year, coming back. And if we didn't have those volunteers, we wouldn't be able to run the fair.
So here in the sheep building, as you can maybe hear and definitely see with Linda, the superintendent. So Linda, all these sheep here. Tell us about some of the different fun activities you have over the next week and a half.
We start out with the obstacle course tonight, which is a person leads their sheep through a bunch of different obstacles, jumps.
Sheep obstacle course?
Yes.
Wow. How many sheep altogether?
We have about 18 different breeds,
Okay.
and there's a good couple hundred here.
So what do you look for in a prize-winning sheep?
Every breed is different. It's kind of like a dog show where every breed is judged differently. They're looking for their breed characteristics. They're looking for a lot of muscling in that sheep because that is where you get lamb. And some of the breeds are more of a wool breed, and that's where you get your sweaters and mittens and things like that. So they're judged on their wool. And then just conformation-wise, they're looking for straight legs, nice top line, things like that.
So one of the Topsfield Fair's newest traditions is the hot dog eating contest here at the B'nai B'rith booth, and I am here with Mark and Corey to learn more. So how did you guys come up with a hot dog eating contest?
Well, what's a hot dog? I mean, what's a fair without an eating contest? This is a quarter-pound all-beef hot dog, not any of those 2-ounce wimpy hot dogs that they have at the Nathan's Fair. This is a real big hot dog, and in 7 minutes, we try to see how many people can eat as many hot dogs as possible.
Looking last year, some people eat over 10 hot dogs over the course of these 7 minutes, and I don't think I could ever do that.
The record in 2019 was 9.5 hot dogs. So think about this, 9.5 hot dogs. A 4-ounce hot dog is equivalent of 2 hot dogs. So that's almost 19 hot dogs in 7 minutes. 19 traditional hot dogs.
Can I get an Oy vey sandwich?
You certainly can. Ordering an Oy vey sandwich!
Oy vey!
Now, I just want to talk about one more thing.
Sure.
One of my favorite things, your Oy vey sandwich.
The Oy vey sandwich is on a bulky roll. It has my mother's famous Jewish brisket. Then we top it off with hot pastrami. We then add a potato pancake. We then drizzle it with chili, put a bulky roll on top, and you get a pickle to go with it. We sold 400 of them. 400 2 years ago. It's insane. And this is how we finish off our Oy vey sandwich.
One of my favorite stops at the Topsfield Fair is always the chick building. Well, poultry building?
Poultry barn,
Yeah. But the best part is the baby chicks, which Dave Costello has right here. What goes into having all these little babies here?
Well, we incubate. We start about 17 days before the fair. When we put eggs, we fill the incubator. So we hatch about 150 chicks every day of the fair. And then we have these 3 or 4 day old chicks that we let children hold when we have staff to do so and have their first experience with a young chick at the fair. We have baby ducklings available right here in this area for kids to hold.
And that's a new thing this year.
That is new. It's the first time we've had them here.
This must be one of the busiest buildings because every time I come, the kids are just surrounding the little incubators there, right?
This corner of the building is packed all the time, from the moment it's open till the end of the night.
Can I try holding a chick?
You can.
Okay.
And you put your other hand right over the top.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh my
And
goodness.
just don't drop them.
So I have found the ladies who are responsible for all of the food contests here at the Topsfield Fair. How do you make a selection among all these great entries?
We get a few judges in to sample and we vote on everything. It has a 100% score and we vote on each category, such as apple pie. It would be flavor, the crust, presentation.
Give me some clues. What is the key to a winning contest entry? Like, what are your top 3 criteria?
Well, we like originality, and obviously we like a product that's done well, not overcooked, not undercooked, following the guidelines. All of the guidelines are set in our premium book. Of course, taste is a big part of it as well. We have a Harvest Baked Treat contest. We have a special contest supported by King Arthur Baking Company. We have our apple pie contest, which is a big one, sponsored by Cider Hill. And we have our parent-child cookie contest on Saturday, which is always a fun one as well.
I'm excited. I'm going to be in them, so I will see you then.
In this building, Coolidge Hall, this is the Home Arts building, and we have folks who demonstrate crafts. We have some beautiful quilts. We have some beautiful, beautiful artwork. It's all well worth coming in to see because some of the work is just absolutely fantastic.
Tell me more about what you're doing here at the Topsfield Fair.
So this is my 30th year, and so set up here, and then I get to play about 9 shows during the week, playing some blues.
I see right here you have like some fair artwork. Did you do this just for Topsfield?
We brought it for Topsfield.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you got the chickens and the cows, and this is just perfectly appropriate.
It's a great family here of the people that work here and put all this on, as you see through the whole thing, and it's a family, and I feel part of that.
We got more Haverhill representing here at the Topsfield Fair with Wally's Vegetables. So, tell us a little bit about what you love about Topsfield Fair.
What I love about Topsfield Fair, well, I've been here every year. My birthday actually falls during the fair, so
really?
Yes,
Wow.
falls during the fair every year because
What do you
the
do
fair
to
runs.
celebrate a fair birthday?
I work at Wally's farm stand, of course. So it's family business. Wally is my dad. We've been doing the fair for over 40 years. My mom has actually been doing the fair since she was 5, so over 60 years. As much as people come, I think, for the food and the rides and the games, it's an agricultural fair, so people can come and see all the barns and they learn about vegetables, they learn about rabbits, cattle, bring the kids out and teach them some stuff that they probably don't get in school.
What's your favorite thing about the fair today?
That's the toughest question to answer, I think. In terms of the food, I love Leonard's apple pie. I love the gobbler sandwich. I love the pastrami sandwich at the B'nai Birth booth. But most of all, I think it's just watching the people.
Tell me, what's your favorite fair food?
Wally's pickles.
Of course. How would it not be? He can't keep his hands out of the pickle barrel.
German fries.
Really?
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
where the flowers are, where they build all the gardens and things. So yeah.
It is judging night for the Fall Harvest Baked Sweet Treat Competition, and I just dropped off my entry here in the Coolidge building. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm excited. I haven't entered a baking competition in over 20 years, so we'll see what happens. 2 hours to go.
Five minutes to go, folks, until they reveal the winner of the Fall Harvest Baking Challenge. Right behind those doors, they're doing the judging right now. I'm so excited.
Good evening. So in this evening's Fall Harvest Baked Sweet Treat Contest, our 3rd place goes to Lindsay Paris from Haverhill.
That's neat.
It was a good night at Topsfield, you guys. I got 3rd place in the Fall Harvest Baking Competition. So excited. Got to walk around, eat some great food, see some exhibits and some animals. It's wonderful to be back here at Topsfield Fair in 2021. For the Haverhill Journal, I'm Lindsay Paris. Happy fair going. We had the best time at Topsfield this year. It was awesome. During your visit to the 2021 Topsfield Fair, just a reminder, masks are required in all buildings. Enjoy this Essex County fall tradition. After a 3-year process of fundraising, coordination, and effort, the formal dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Millbrook Park was held on September 11th. The dedication ceremony honored the 13 Haverhill citizens who lost their lives in the Vietnam War and the impact that that war has continued to have on veterans and active duty military since.
In the summer of 2018, a Vietnam veteran by the name of Lou Fossarelli approached the mayor and the city council, and he thought that we could do better by Vietnam veterans. The mayor appointed the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Ad Hoc Commission, and we got to work. Initially, we moved the existing memorial, which was at the foot of the Basilia Bridge, over to this site and did $20,000 worth of improvements here. We started a large fundraising campaign early in 2020, which was interrupted by COVID. However, because we had been fiscally prudent and been working hard, we had enough to finish, most of the park. So we went under construction. Then the community, a great coalition that we built, was very generous, and they gave us the money to complete the park as designed and exceed expectations. As you know, recently we had the privilege of having the park full of Vietnam veterans and their neighbors, and we dedicated this park in honor of them.
On behalf of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Commission and the City of Haverhill, it is my honor to welcome you to the official dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial at Mill Park.
One of the important points that the Vietnam veterans made to us early on was at the former site they could not have a ceremony of any sort. So that was very important to them.
This is a fitting tribute to our Vietnam veterans who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And I'm so proud that the City of Haverhill has come together and recognized our Vietnam veterans, all of them, the ones that unfortunately never returned and those that served and gave so much of their lives to us.
We know the story that so many years ago when they came back from serving, were not exactly welcomed back with open arms. And it's great that after all these years, they're being properly recognized for their service, and particularly for those that we lost, those that paid the ultimate sacrifice.
We need to never forget what happened, and hopefully history will not repeat itself.
So we had a very big ceremony here with a state police flyover. We had a professional ensemble of musicians, some people who have played in studio albums with Billy Joel, our own Neil Ferrara from the Highlands here.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we...
And it was a mix of patriotic music and protest music, which really, set the tone, the duality of the war, where people go to do their patriotic duty, yet they feel their government has let them down. And we wanted to rectify some of that, and I think we did.
Hello, Haverhill. Look what we have done here and imagine what we can become. We are stronger when we are unified, and unified we were. We promised you to reveal the love of your neighbors. Look around you. This is a love attack. I hope that I will long remember what we've done here, my friends. And my final thoughts will be of you tonight, and of the Corps, and of the Corps and of the Corps. How I love this city. Thank you.
Visit the Vietnam Veterans Memorial anytime to learn more about the conflict and those who served in it at Millbrook Park at the intersection of Mill Street and Belvedere Road. Attention, veterans who enjoy time on the water, and isn't that everybody? Donald Jarvis is organizing a series of Veterans Canoe Adventures, sponsored by White Rose Canoe. These canoeing trips on the Parker River are free for all veterans and their families, and lunch is included. The first trip paddles off on Sunday, October 24th at 10:30 a.m. Registration is required. To register, call 978-308-9186 or visit donaldjarvis.com/events. Who's got the best chili in town? Try them all and help choose a winner at the Haverhill Firefighting Museum's annual Chili Cook-Off, Saturday, October 23rd, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Firefighting Museum, located at 75 Canosa Avenue in Haverhill. Prize categories include Best Individual or Business, Best Restaurant, and Best First Responder chilies. General admission is $10, and if you'd like to enter your secret recipe chili, register at haverhillfirefightingmuseum.org. If you have a story or event you'd like to see featured on the Haverhill Journal, call us at 978-372-8070 or email info@haverhillcommunitytv.org. And don't forget to like us on Facebook or at our HC Media YouTube channel. And that's what's happening in Haverhill this month. Watch for our next episode the first week of November. I'm Lindsay Paris, and we'll see you next time.